Welcome. Welcome to the Penfield Board of Education September 8th meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:04. So will everyone rise and have the district lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a proposed resolution that the board approve the following consent agenda: the approval of the minutes of the August 11th, 2020 and the August 24th, 2020 meetings as submitted, the acceptance of the recommendations of the Committee of Special Education, the acceptance of the recommendations from the Committee on Preschool Special Education, the acceptance of recommendations from the Superintendent for personnel changes, the request to approve the recommended bidders, which are in your packet. So may I have a motion and a second that the board approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. I can't see the, it's hard to see the number from here, but it looked like it was 7-0.
Sharon? Yeah. Was it 7-0? Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. You have to approve the irregular agenda.
Did I skip?
B. You want to see.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Oh, and may I have a motion and a second that the board approve the September 8th agenda as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, thank you. All right, I recommend that we have a motion that the treasurer's report, including the cash report, the general funds cash report, the general revenue status report, the general funds budget status report, the school lunch fund cash report, the school lunch fund revenue and expense budget report for the month ending July 31st, 2020 be approved. We have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. When we get into a special report, I'd like to recognize Lisa Latin, who is our representative from Monroe and BOCES, to provide an update. Welcome, and this is your first update as our new representative, so welcome. We look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Eldridge and members of the board, and good evening, and to those listening at home. So I just wanted to go over what everyone's been working on, along with you, is the reopening plan that BOCES has been working on with component districts, and the focus has been on the health and safety for students and staff. It's likely to be tweaked as school opens. Staff is back today, and students will begin on Monday, the 14th. If anyone would like additional information, the website is monroe.edu. We will be requiring that families do the health screening before students come to school, as well as temperature checks for students upon arrival. Working on masking, increasing the cleaning protocols during the day, and increasing our runtime on the HVAC units. One of the big focuses has been not just on the health and safety of our students and staff, but also on their social emotional health during this time, recognizing that COVID has presented many challenges for our families and our staff members. If anyone would like to contact me directly, I think Sharon has my email, and she can share that with you. But I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Board, any questions for Lisa? Okay. Well, Lisa,
Oh, wait, I think Dr.
Oh,
Putnam has a
you have-
question.
Lisa, as a parent, you've asked me lots of questions over your time here, and now that you are here as a rep of the BOCES board, I have 450 questions I'd like to ask you. I'm just kidding. I think it's wonderful. You've been in touch with me since you took on the role as the Penfield rep for the BOCES board, and I appreciate that open line of communication. And just wanted the board to know that as well, that Lisa and I have communicated along the way. And I just want to say thank you very much. Our students who are Penfield students, but involved in the number of BOCES programs, K-12 and beyond, are just always part of our program and part of our hearts and part of our Penfield Pride focus. So thank you very much. Your voice there, I know on behalf of the district, BOCES Superintendent Dan White, and myself, I just want to say thank you very much.
You're welcome.
yes, and
Any other
thank-
questions?
and thank you, and you're welcome anytime that you want to provide us an update. We'll be glad to have you.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are at visitor speaking time. This is the designated time for district residents to bring their comments to the board. The board encourages residents to share their opinions, voice concerns, and offer suggestions in a constructive atmosphere. Matters involving particular individuals or specific negotiations are not permitted during public session and should be addressed privately with the board president or superintendent. Comments brought to the board will be taken under consideration. However, this is not a time when the board can answer questions or engage in dialogue. A request to speak form must be filled out prior to the start of the meeting and be given to the district clerk. Speakers are expected to identify themselves with their name and address before presenting and limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. The board president reserves the right to limit the total amount of speaker time based on the length of the agenda. Written comments to the board are also encouraged. And we do have a number of requests. I will start with Lucy Nicosia of 12 Seton Court. So please just come on down and join us at the microphone. Luli, why did I say Luli? Hello, Luli. Yeah, that's fine.
You can, yeah. Yeah. This is still new to us, so that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, I gotta take the mask. Okay. Good evening. My name is Luli Nicosia, and I live at 12 Seton Court in Penfield. I'm here this evening to ask that you find a way to offer honors classes to the Penfield High School students who have chosen the 100% virtual option for the fall semester. On page 8 of the PHS Code of Conduct is a list of students' rights. And number 6 on this list clearly states that students have a right, quote, to be afforded equal and appropriate educational opportunities, unquote. Those are your words, not mine. To be afforded equal and appropriate educational opportunities. It doesn't say if this is convenient or it's easy to figure out. It doesn't say any of that. In fact, it puts no qualifiers on that right at all. PHS students have a right to be afforded equal and appropriate educational opportunities. Full stop. That's it. Simply put, the issue is that PHS students who have chosen the hybrid model are able to take honors classes, while the students who have chosen the virtual model are not. My question to you is, how is that being afforded an equal educational opportunity? The answer is it isn't. And why is it acceptable to this board that our children are being denied this right? Now, Dr. Putnam very graciously went to great lengths to explain the option the district did come up with, the capstone projects. And that will get our children honors credit on their transcripts. But while I agree that a well-done capstone is great, it's a great educational opportunity, they will learn lots of things, it is in no way the same as taking honors courses in individual subjects. The best example I can give you is think about an honors foreign language class, let's say Spanish. in an honors Spanish class, the teacher and students only speak Spanish. How is doing a capstone project on, for example, for-profit prisons or Hemingway's use of symbolism in any way close to replicating that experience of total immersion in Spanish in the classroom? It's not. And as such, the virtual learners will be at a disadvantage moving forward. They are not being afforded an equal educational opportunity. Traditionally, discrimination cases revolve around race, gender, physical disability, things like that. But in this case, the discrimination is based on the students who are medically vulnerable or who have family members who are medically vulnerable. The only difference between the students who are being offered honors courses and those who are not is the fact that those who cannot take the classes have chosen not to risk their health, maybe even their lives, and as a result, the health and lives of their family members. Does that seem fair to you? Does that seem to be affording equal and appropriate educational opportunities to you? It certainly doesn't to me, and to a lot of other parents. Now, Dr. Putnam, again, has explained to myself and to others that this is a staffing problem. There just aren't enough teachers at PHS to offer honors courses to the virtual learners. But if that is the case, then we as a district, and you as the Board of Education, need to think outside the box. One idea is to have the virtual learners simply join the honors classes that will be given live to the hybrid students online. Other districts in Monroe County and around the state are able to make this happen. Districts with far less funding than we have here. So why can't we do this in Penfield? Universities everywhere are also making this model work. But according to Dr. Putnam, the district has made a decision not to allow this to happen because, in his opinion, it would lessen the quality of the education given. That there's no way that Penfield teachers, our amazing, hard-working Penfield teachers, can manage to teach 12 honors students sitting in their classroom and a handful of students online at the same time on just 2 days a week. Is this ideal? No, of course not. But nothing about this entire school year is ideal. And if the district is unwilling to make this work, then come up with another solution. That is your job. You create the educational policies of the district, and then you must make sure they're being followed. I'd like to end by reminding you of the New York State mandates for reopening schools that echo your own district policies. Among them is one that states, quote, mandatory teaching and learning requirements include providing clear opportunities for equitable instruction for all students, ensuring continuity of learning regardless of the instructional model used, end quote. So I ask you, please find a way to be in compliance with the state mandates, your own district policies, the PHS student rights, and what is fair and equitable to our children, the virtual learners. I've had kids in Penfield schools for the past 14 years, and I know you can find a way to make this work and offer all the students at PHS the same quality and level of education, even in these unprecedented times. This is when it counts, when following through on our beliefs and policies is not an easy thing to do. This is when we prove who we are as a district and what we believe in. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Steve Nicosia. Yeah, welcome, Steve.
Thank you. I won't take up a lot of your time. Let me just start out. First of all, I'm Steve Nicosia. I live at 12 Seton Court. Yes, I'm married to Lily. I want to thank you all first for all the hard work that you do. I know this is not easy, so my gratitude to you and everything you guys do. If you follow the logic that Lily just laid out, which is it's in the in the policy that all kids get equal education. Well, how's everyone that is able to do this doing it? I'm president of a company called Zen Advisory Partners. I work with a lot of software and tech entrepreneurs, helping them start, build, grow, and exit. And what employers are telling me now is, having done a lot of remote work, that they're actually going to shrink their office size when things turn back to normal, and they're going to have a distributed workforce. So if you go with this and use technology in the classroom, you are preparing your kids for the future, because the future will include a distributed workforce. It always has, but it's going to be more so now than ever before. I work and I advise a lot of entrepreneurs. Some of them are professors. One at RIT, Dr. Mislin, and I said, Doc, how is it working in your classroom? Having, first of all, do you have this in person and people online? He says, absolutely. Yeah. He said, first of all, the kids in the classroom have these masks on, and it's actually inhibiting their communication. So they're afraid to talk, or they can't hear each other. So he's actually in front of the laptop anyway. He set up Slack, so like a chat, so people could ask questions. So both the people at home and the people in class are using this chat to ask questions. And so he's finding that the communication between the student and the teacher is actually improving. So it's different, right? But it's very possible. And I don't think that you have to look at this as the quality of teaching goes down. In fact, there are so many opportunities here to improve the classroom experience using this model, using the model of some of the kids at home and some of the kids in person. If you think about the classroom now, everyone's going to have masks on. Teachers, especially the older teachers, because COVID is actually more harmful as you get older, are going to actually want to have that distance between them and the students. So this, if you go with the technology solution, this will work. All the professor needs, or the classroom teacher needs, is a laptop. That's it. And then you use a Microsoft Teams, so it has a chat function. You can ask questions through it. And you could even, in Zoom, and I don't know if Microsoft Chat has this, but you could split out the group for a while. So you could split out your students into separate groups for 10 minutes, have a student lead the discussions, have the teacher jump to each discussion, then come back and have discussions about whatever you're trying to do as the bigger group. So I think there's a great opportunity to prepare our kids for the future. And again, this is only 2 days a week. So for honors classes, I don't know if they're taught every day, so it might only be 1 day a week. The rest of the time, the kids are off-site anyway. So we're not asking for a big lift here. And finally, if the numbers were higher for the kids that are going to go online only, if it was 20%, would you consider it? Or 30%, or 40%? Why are we just discarding the 10%? Because that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Okay, next I'd like to invite down Andrew Permiba from 10 Old Westfall Drive. And if you could just pronounce your name so we get it right.
Hello, thanks for allowing this, the public comments. My name is Andrew Poremba from 10 Old Westfall Drive. And Luli and Steve hit the philosophy section of the virtual offerings pretty well there. I want to take off a little bit on what Steve said, in that you're going to have to deal with remote learning anyway, because the students are only on site half the time. You're going to have to deal with it when students have to be quarantined for 2 weeks. We don't know what those numbers are going to be. Hopefully they're going to be very low, but you don't know that going in. And heaven forbid, you may have to also deal with it if there's enough spread that the sites get closed down. So you should already have a robust remote learning system to deal with that. Even if it's only a 5% chance of it happening, I put the odds a lot higher, but that's debatable. So since you needed to do that anyway, the emphasis on getting kids in school and supplementing it with remote learning as opposed to using remote learning as the backbone and supplementing it with on-site seems skewed. I question the wisdom of that, and I'm sure there's good reasons that you went the way you did. But from some points of view, it seems backwards. My biggest concern, though, is with the process of how these decisions were communicated or not communicated. Dr. Putnam was on the video for 3 straight days, or 3 sessions over 2 days, or whatever it was. We got an email back in July announcing the remote-only option, which made me extremely happy. And all through this time, there was no inkling that the honors or AP options would not be available to remote-only students. So that was a bit of a bombshell, especially that it happened a couple days after we were supposed to make our final decision. I had a call with some with some high school staff, and it was helpful and informative to a degree, but the one thing I didn't appreciate was that the language of equal and all that entails to the layman suddenly turned into equitable, which means, oh yeah, we can just help you advance towards your diploma, and honors and AP are actually electives, and we did mention somewhere on a side that not all electives would be available. That was pretty disturbing. And so we got through all that, and we're coming into having to deal with our selection and the capstone projects and all that. And we'll go forward from there depending how you decide based on the other comments. And the other issue with the information I got in the discussion with the high school staff was we had to consider a lot of factors. You don't know how many things we had to think about. Well, no, I don't, because you guys didn't let us know. The process was not transparent at all. In addition to the lack of timeliness, the lack of transparency was very disturbing. If someone were inclined not to give people the benefit of the doubt, they could come up with reasons that that it was done this way. So just it doesn't look good from where a lot of people on this side are sitting. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you, Andrew. And next is Jason Hanna. Welcome, Jason.
Hi. Good evening, Jason Hanna, 59 Skyview Lane. I have 2 daughters in the district, 10th grade and entering 6th grade at Bay Trail. I have a couple different comments this evening. My first statement is, I'll start with sports. It's a little bit bigger than sports, but we know that in part New York State is kind of calling the shots right now, but And I certainly believe safety should always come first to our student athletes, but to the degree that it makes sense and we as a school district have control, I highly encourage you to let our children play their sports this year. There's a website link in the submission that I entered, but it comes from the National Alliance from Youth Sports. 5 key positive elements of playing sports. Sports boost self-esteem. Playing sports help develop teamwork and leadership skills. It's a natural stress reliever. Kids develop lifelong healthy lifestyle habits, and it's fun. While sports is one example I'm bringing to you tonight, the above comments certainly fit into the larger context of opportunities such as music and clubs as 2 other examples. I'd encourage you just to remember these 5 points as you consider actions and options throughout this academic year. It's an important part, I think, of what makes our children whole, and understanding it's a strange year. Please consider those comments. Statement number 2, different topic. I'd just like to see more communication. This is obviously a little bit down the road here, but we've got potentially a huge budget issue with state aid being cut, talking 20% potentially. I'd like to hear more communication about what you, if you don't know, what you don't know at this time, at least I think that needs to be communicated to the community, including, notably not only the parents, but the taxpayers of the community. We've got a potentially, $5-6 million issue if it is what Governor Cuomo says it might be. So please continue to communicate with us on either what you don't know at this time, and obviously as we get further down the road, what's happening. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jason. Were there any additional speakers? All right. Again, well, thank you all. We do always encourage people to come and speak to us. And as again, you're always welcome to send us emails and communicate with us via email. There's a lot of there's a lot of things that are different this year, and we do want that feedback. So now we welcome our new student representative.
Hi.
Abby, I guess I need to, let's keep jumping 1 second here. I need to issue the oath, so would you please stand and repeat after me? When you're ready?
Yes.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Student Representative of the Board of Education
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Student Representative of the Board of Education
in the Penfield Central School District according to the best of my ability.
in the Penfield Central School District according to the best of my ability.
All right, well, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
And as is customary, we'd like to hear a little bit about yourself, and then, although school hasn't quite started yet, your student report.
I am a senior here at PHS, and some things about myself. I am a goalie on the varsity lacrosse team, and that was actually a huge boost of confidence for me because I've only been goaltending for about a year and a half. So to know that the varsity coaches saw something in me after that little training was just amazing and a dream come true. I am also a part of New Visions, a EMCC Medical Career Path program at Rochester General Hospital, because ultimately I'm striving to become a physician assistant, and that has been a huge motivating factor for a lot of my volunteering choices, like volunteering at hospitals and shadowing other PAs, and ultimately trying to get as much volunteering experience under my belt before I enter college.
Good, well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Abby, do you have any updates on school since it hasn't started?
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, my.
Does anyone on the board have a question for Abby? Or comment?
No, but welcome.
Welcome, yes.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here.
It's great to be here.
And so the board is aware that we did give permission to Abby not to stay this whole meeting because, you know, she's trying to hang on to every last ounce of summer she can, and she should. So I do know that Abby may step away, but we'll see you at the next meeting, and you can give us your update on how the reopening of school went and how everything is going through all of our buildings, especially here at the high school where you're a senior. Thanks, Abby.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abby. All right, speaking of reopening of schools, it's time for the superintendent's report, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Putnam.
Thank you. So I just have a few slides tonight. We have a reopening of our schools update, and then a very exciting annual fire inspection that we do each year. So reopening of our schools, the first I wanted to focus, and I learned this in a webinar because hopefully our teachers will be doing this too because they're learning it, and one of the parents who spoke tonight did it, so I was very, very pleased to see that. So I will say that while I'm wearing a mask, I'm smiling right now. I'm actually very happy to say thank you to this incredible district, to our school board, administrators, faculty, staff, our technology services, transportation, food service, recess monitors, buildings and grounds, our parents and guardians, and of course our students as well. There's been a lot of work that's gone into reopening schools. It's been bumpy, but there's been some amazing steps in the right direction. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody with a big smile hiding behind my mask. I do want to thank Technology Services, and just as a reminder to the community, if you did come to pick up a laptop today, you probably were in line for 3 hours, and we do apologize for that, but there's going to be some glitches along the way. As a reminder to the full community, it typically is about a 3-year process for a school district to become a one-to-one, meaning one student, one device district. We had a 3-year plan tentatively planned. This year was supposed to be PD and conversations, and then next year was supposed to be a pilot program, and then the 3rd year we would be rolling out computers. Instead, we're going to do all of this in 3 weeks, and so we are going to become a one-to-one district pretty quickly. Right now, our 11th and 12th graders have a device. Our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders all have a device right now waiting for them on their first day of school, either Thursday or Friday. And then K through 5 and 9 and 10 is the students who are picking up computers, and they've received an email. We do have another shipment coming in. We have talked about in emails dating way back to April that we were ordering devices for every student. However, we knew and expected delays, supply chain delays. We're not the only district dealing with that, so we're asking if you have a device that you can use with your child to get us through the opening of the school year. We are very hopeful, but I cannot make a promise, but I'll at least say it on record that we're very hopeful by October the last of our major shipments will be in, and we'll be able to hand everybody a device, which would be K-5 and 9th and 10th graders who don't have one that they already picked up from the district. So it has been a lot of headaches, a lot of work, but at the end of the day, we will transition into a one-to-one district and continue to build upon that. Transportation and food service, major changes. We had an amazing plan for food service, and the state then shared with us at the very end of last week, by the way, breakfast and lunch is free for everybody. Now, that's great. It actually helps in lots of different ways, but it does create a whole new process of how we need to check kids in and out. So you received an email from me and from my office, as well as on social media, that the federal waiver program has been has been increased and that breakfast and lunch will be covered. Students still need to go through. We need to check off who it is that picked it up. If you are a 100% remote student or on the hybrid days that are virtual, you can still stop by any one of our schools to pick up a to-go breakfast and lunch. And so that is good. That runs through the end of December. I'll turn to Dan for that. But end of December right now, if it gets extended, we will communicate that. But we learned that at the last minute. And then obviously transportation is typically takes about 3 months to do a complete route of our district based on its size. They had to do that within a few weeks, and our bus drivers, I met with them on their opening day, and they're ready. They're ready to come back. Our conversations with our bus drivers is really around the fact that here in Penfield, if you ride the bus, the very first person and the very last person you see from our district is your bus driver. And so they're ready to greet kids, wearing masks, being socially distant, and following all the regulations. Our recess monitors, you know, it's unsung heroes sometimes, and thanks to Mr. Pfeiffer here, our assistant superintendent, we brought in an outside organization. They had a training, was that today? They had a training today. What was the name of the organization again?
It's an organization called Playworks.
Playworks. And so we know that recess won't be the same exactly, but we're working with our recess monitors to learn new and exciting ways to engage our K-5 students outside. And just a huge thank you to everybody. Buildings and grounds. Our buildings will be ready. They don't quite look it all the time, but they will be ready. And our capital projects that are continuing to work has created different noises, sounds, and sights. And our buildings and grounds crew does an incredible job working with our contractors to make sure that our students keep learning. So thank you to everybody. I will now let you know that behind my mask, I have a frustrated face, but my frustration is not for anybody here or anybody watching. It's just a frustration of the new world we're living in. And that is that Penfield will have, thank you, Jim, Penfield will be using our Frontline Health Portal, and the district will be using this app for both students and staff. Additional information on setup and process will be sent out to all families via email. We realize that it will be an app. You can download it on a smartphone or you can do it online on a computer. It's actually very easy to use. One of our neighboring districts was able to roll it out this week with very little concern. It's pretty straightforward. Thank you to Barbara Gregory and the entire HR office who's been working tirelessly on this. We anticipate the app may be delayed, not on our end, but because of working with Frontline and the new system. So if it is, we will be putting an email out tomorrow with an Infinite Campus check, either using Microsoft Forms or Infinite Campus Survey to do the temperature health screening for parents for their children. And that's part of the Monroe County Department of Health recommendations, is that we really need to partner with families. Each day, the family will have to attest to the child not having a temperature of 100 or more and the COVID wellness questions. Our staff will be doing the same thing. So a little bit of frustration because obviously we'd like to have this all done and ready a week ago, but the world doesn't work like that. So again, thank you to HR, your office, for tirelessly working with Frontline to get this up and running and dealing with my twice-a-day visits on, is it ready yet? So I appreciate that. We will work through this. Once it's up and running, you will get additional information from our office. Just a little bit about attendance expectations. Although students may be attending a hybrid model, 100% remote model, or specialized class model, daily attendance is still essential. We know that in the emergency closing of the spring, trying to track attendance and monitor students was difficult, if not impossible. We now know that we're going to be a one-to-one district. We'll have a device for every student that needs one, and we will be following the New York State guidelines for attendance. So I just ask parents and guardians and students to please follow the attendance process shared by your child's school. It will be a little bit different based on level, at the middle school and high school level, students and parents can actually monitor attendance at home for what's taking place on the virtual days. For K-5, at this point, it will still be teachers because it's a little more synchronous at the K-5 level based on the number of staff we have with reading, literacy, math, and enrichment specialists. So just monitor the emails from your building principal and keep encouraging attendance. If you're struggling with your child not wanting to attend virtual school or not wanting to work on hybrid, please make sure you reach out and speak to the counselor, the teacher, the grade level administrator. We are all in this together to make sure that students, when they're at home, are learning because it's still a school day, just not like one we've ever seen before. Academic expectations, we get lots of questions on this. So as we start to open on Thursday, students should be completing all assigned work and seeking support when necessary. So feedback and grading is going to be based on our traditional process. When we closed for the emergency closing in the spring, Penfield, like every other district in Monroe County and most across the state, moved to a pass incomplete. We are not doing that. This is not an emergency closing. This is a COVID planned reopening. And so please remember at home that it's important to do all work assigned by your teacher, both in person and on hybrid days, and for our virtual students, all work that's assigned by your teachers. And students should be logging into Teams daily, that Microsoft Teams, especially on their virtual days. So this is where I just remind you that if you go to our website underneath Departments, Technology Services, there's a Technology Support and Resources page, which is great for parents who may not be up to speed on what Microsoft Teams is, what does it look like, what will my child see. And there are some great videos to watch from Microsoft, just a little bit of information, and we'll be sharing more information with parents on how to support your learner at home, both virtually and hybrid students on those remote days. I will just say this is where I'm a superintendent, but also a parent. So my children will be following their school schedule on the hybrid days. So it's not wake up when you want and log in, but it's going to be that's your schedule. So your class starts at 8:20 and just follow through and get all your work done by the end of the school day. So I apologize to my children that we're holding them to that high expectation, but we find that it worked in the spring and we're going to continue that into the fall. So actually, somebody spoke about this, and I do have an update on restarting athletics. This is where I have a happy, frustrated face on, because districts received guidance on Friday. The governor said, hey, you can have athletics, and guidance will come soon. So about 2.5 weeks later, guidance came at 9 p.m. on Friday night. So as another speaker talked about around transparency, communication, and what does that mean when email comes at 9 p.m. on a Friday night, the conspiracy theory in me comes up. But we are now fully through reviewing that guidance that came on Friday night. We're still looking. Mr. Shambo is our athletic director. He and I are in constant conversations. As soon as we have a solid plan that we can support in place, we will be sharing that with all parents. I hope to be able to do that as soon as Thursday. And the district will follow all required guidance, and we are really looking at phasing in athletics as we've done for reopening schools. So we've got basically 3 different levels. We've got varsity, JV, and modified. We're also working across Monroe County and in Division 5, because if Penfield says this is what we're going to do, but we don't have anybody else in our division doing the same thing, our Penfield students won't have anybody to participate against. So we're trying to work through that. It really is a district and division cohesive group that's been working on this since we heard that we could reopen and as we waited for the guidance. So please be patient, give us a couple more days, and we'll be sharing what our hopeful plan is for restarting athletics for Penfield and Monroe County. So next steps here, the first day of school is Thursday, September 10th, officially. We will be monitoring progress and seeking feedback from students, teachers, and parents via surveys. So we're looking at doing those regularly throughout the year to collect information. Not everybody always feels comfortable emailing us, but we want to make sure that we hear from all stakeholders during this process. Now that we're not in an emergency closure, we're able to access students a little bit more, a little easier because of their student email accounts, and we also want to hear from our students. Obviously, we always want to hear from our practitioners in the classroom, but then our parents and guardians are key. And we realize that this year is going to be like no other. We do realize and are prepared to make changes as necessary, and we do appreciate the community's patience as we navigate the reopening of the Penfield Central School District. That is my brief update on reopening schools, unless the board has any questions.
Board, any questions for Dr. Putnam? Down there, nobody? One quick question. You were talking about picking up lunch meals and lunches.
Yeah.
Can they go, parents go to any school, or do they go to their school?
That's a great question. So to make it easier, parents can go to any school. So if you have 4 children in 3 of our schools, you can go to one of the 3 that your children or child attends and pick up meals for all of your children at one location. It's a great question.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
The next update I have is our annual fire inspection. This is just a brief update that during June 2020, which feels like 4 years ago, the annual fire inspection, as mandated by the State Education Department, took place in all buildings of the Penfield Central School District. Mr. Kelly Wasson, fire inspector, Genesee Valley Educational Partnership Health and Safety and Risk Management Office conducted the inspections per the process. All buildings were inspected and reports are on file. Any violations noted have been corrected, and all buildings are in conformance. As required by Section 807A of the Educational Law, public notice of the filing of the fire safety report will be published in the official newspaper, The Daily Record, on Friday, September 11th, 2020. Any
Board, any questions? All right.
All right. And that concludes superintendent's reports for this evening.
Thank you, Tom. Make sure I'm on the right spot. We are now on Section 5A, change orders. It is recommended that the board approve the following change orders as described, and these are in your packets. So the above change orders have been reviewed by and are supported by the architect, Vic Tomaselli, project manager Gary Huffman, clerk of the works Alan McNiff, and the assistant superintendent of business and finance Dr. Daniel Driffel. May I have a motion and a second to approve the change orders as described above?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And now we're into 6A, which is the contract with Villa of Hope. It is recommended that the board authorize the superintendent of schools to enter into a contract with the Villa of Hope. The district is contracting with the Villa of Hope to provide mental services, to provide mental health and substance abuse disorder services for students and families based upon service requests from the Penfield Central School District from September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021. The district will pay Villa of Hope a fee based on usage. The rate schedule is included in the attached contract and is not anticipated to exceed $24,000. May I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to enter into a contract with the Villa of Hope?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries. 6B, which is the dissolution of the high school change fund. It is recommended that the high school change fund be dissolved and deposited back into the general fund by the district treasurer, that the appointed custodian of the dissolved fund be released from such duty. Whereas the district has a longstanding change fund for the high school building authorized by the Board of Education, and whereas the change fund was reauthorized by the Board of Education annual organizational meeting on July 7th, 2020, in the amount of $75, and whereas the high school has determined that it no longer has utility for the continued existence of the authorized change fund, therefore it be resolved that the high school change fund be dissolved and deposited back into the general fund by the district treasurer, and that the appointed custodian be dissolved, of the dissolved fund be released from duty. And this resolution will take effect effectively. May I have a motion and a second for the resolution?
So moved.
Second. No. All those in favor? Any opposed? Next item is the Allison Heights Apartments tax correction. And the recommended the board approve the tax correction, the corrected tax bill as described. The Allison Heights apartment formally challenged the tax assessment for real property located at 2250 Penfield Road for the tax year 2019, 2020, and 2020-2021. And the town of Penfield has agreed to certain reductions in the assessment for the tax year 2021 only. Justice D'Onofrio of the New York State Supreme Court, Monroe County, will issue a decision adjudicating these challenges and reduce the assessment for 2020-2021. A refund or corrected bill will be issued to reflect the reduction in assessment. And the reduction is, as you see here, it involves a reduction but no refund. And the so a motion is in order. A motion and a second is in order that the board approve the corrected tax bill as described above.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? And we have a similar one for the Hidden Creek LLC tax correction. And it's very similar, so I'll read it again. The Hidden Creek formally challenged the tax assessment for real property located at 2250 Penfield Road for the tax year 2017-18, 2018-19, and 2019-20. The town of Penfield has agreed to certain reductions in the assessment for the tax year 2019-20 forward. Justice D'Onofrio of the New York State Supreme Court, Monroe County, will issue a decision adjudicating these challenges and reduce the assessment for 2019-20 forward. A corrected tax bill or refund will be issued to reflect the reduction in the assessment for 2020-2021. This correction is as follows, as you can see on your packet. May I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education approve the corrected tax bill as described above?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? I'm sorry, any questions or comments? All those in favor? All those opposed? And the next one is another one for RMC Elmwood LLC and RJM Elmwood LLC tax correction. Again, similar, RMC Elmwood LLC and RJM Elmwood LLC formally challenged the tax assessment for real property located at 2171 5 Mile Line Road for the tax year 2015-16, 2016-17, 2017-18, 2018-19, and 2019-20. The town of Penfield has agreed to certain reductions in the assessment for the tax year 2019-20 forward. Justice D'Onofrio of the New York State Supreme Court, Monroe County, will issue a decision adjudicating these challenges and will reduce the assessment for 2019-20 forward. A refund or collected tax bill will be issued to reflect the reduction in the assessments for 2020-2021. May I have a motion and a second that the board approve the corrected tax bill as described above?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Move on to donations. It is recommended that the board approve the following resolution. Donations totaling $500 for items in the 2020-2021 budget were received by the district as shown. The Scribner Elementary School jump rope for Heart of $500. A motion be made and seconded that the board approve an amendment totaling $500 to the 2020-2021 budget shown above, and that the amount submitted both as revenue and expenditure items, and express its gratitude to the donors for their generous support of Penfield schools. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any questions or discussions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And we are at President's remarks. So the New York State School Board Association Annual Convention and Education Expo is coming up. The virtual convention will be held over the 2-week period, October 20th and 22nd, and October 27th, 29th. The convention programming will be able to be found online, and the annual business meeting will be held virtually on October 31st. The important thing is early bird registration ends on September 13th. We often go to this. The one thing is that this is something, we've had some discussions. It is during a certain period of time, but at the same time, the material will be available online after that. So it does, as you know, where before we have to take time off from our normal routine to travel down there and attend these, we can, in this situation, we can attend live, or we can, and take time off and attend it live, or we can review this at our leisure. There is a price cut involved in this. I don't have it in front of me at the moment what the price reduction is. So it's up, please let Sharon know if you're interested. Please do it before the expiration of the early bird pricing. Does anyone have any? Go ahead.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Do we know, Sharon, or you maybe, do we know how long, if we register, the virtual sessions will be available? Like, I'm guessing it's not forever.
I didn't realize that they were going to be recorded in.
Okay.
But that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, to know, like, how much time we have if we want to register.
I can look into that.
That'd be great. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay.
And so Sharon has to know by Friday then, because the 13th is Sunday, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So if,
it is.
So maybe Sharon, if we could figure that out before Friday, that would be nice. So we can let you know before the end of the day. That'd be nice if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is weird. But this whole year is weird, so
Right.
it's,
Right, it is.
just add to it.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any thoughts on attending this year? If they have any plans, or are they still trying to decide? Barb?
I'm definitely going to attend, and I was awarded a convention scholarship, so I will be giving that to you.
Oh, fantastic.
I have to look over the schedule.
I found out during COVID that
Yeah.
I was awarded this scholarship, so,
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I don't
Sharon,
know.
I'd like to attend also.
Okay.
I will too, Sharon.
I didn't hear what they said.
All right.
What are they
Then-
doing? Oh, they are. I have to look. Yeah. I'll look it over.
And then the last item, unfinished business committee assignments. These are, these haven't changed since the last time we met. There is one open item, which is the audit committee requires two board members to have a quorum as terms of, for voting on the audits. We have two people, Barb and Sean, and we should have an alternate. I think, Lisa, did you say you were going to be alternate?
It's usually at 4 o'clock.
So would anyone like to be an alternate to this?
For one, I'm sorry.
So I heard a whole bunch.
I was going to
Yeah, I
offer,
can do it.
but
No, I
it's
can do it.
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I can do it.
Okay, so let's put Bill then.
Well, we'll fight later.
Right.
At a distance.
Yeah, just as a
60 feet
reminder,
away.
we started this alternate last year, the year before, because in order to have a quorum, you need two and the resident who's on. So the alternate doesn't always get called, but there are times when one person can't go, and having the alternate is extremely helpful so the meeting can continue.
And can I just say, I was the alternate last year, and the one time they needed me to be there, I couldn't go, and they had to reschedule the meeting. So, like, it's a do or die
So what
situation.
good is it?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Bill, and thank you, everyone, for signing up for the various assignments. There's quite a few things beyond just being on the board and attending these meetings. There's quite a few committees, and this does not even cover participating in the school-related events that go on, week in and week out. So thank you all.
I do have a question here, Mark, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
About the PTA meetings, maybe Sharon, you might know, do you have any sense yet of how they're going to be conducted? Do you think they're...
So far, they've all indicated via Zoom, especially to start.
Okay,
And, I'm still waiting for, I think, 3 schools to give me their meeting.
okay. So at least until the end of the year, that we can assume that that they're going to be doing Zoom, did I hear you
Well, I
right?
don't know if it's going to be the entire school year.
No, till December.
Oh,
We're starting, just so you know, in terms of use of our building, so that's where they fall
Oh,
in as an
okay.
outside organization.
Yeah.
So, but they're, from the PTAs and PTO we spoke with, they are happy to continue Zoom meetings right now, but it's possible that if things go well when we reopen and after time our numbers stay low, that they may want to come back in the
Yeah.
building. So it's one of those many things that it's not a hard and fast rule, but we'll
Okay,
monitor.
so we
Yep.
just having that in mind, we can be flexible.
Yep. And we'll just need to make sure, working with Sharon and the PAB group, is that when a board member is there, we share the Zoom invite. So we know, that's why when we do get the calendar uploaded, that board members sign up like your typical process, and then we can share ahead of time the Zoom link for those meetings with the
Okay.
board members.
Yep.
Thank you. Now we're doing new business. Is there any new business?
No.
All right. May I have a motion and a second that the meeting be adjourned at 8:06?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, meeting adjourned.